Welcome to another edition of Lakeville City Council Wrap-Up. During this program, we will highlight the agenda items presented to the Lakeville City Council at their January 19th, 2016 meeting. First highlighted item on the agenda is item number 5C, Liquor Department Report. And to provide the background information on this agenda item is Liquor Manager Brenda Visnovic.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. It is my pleasure tonight to present to you the 2015 annual report. Now, as we all know, there's been some changes within the city that we saw a small decline in business sales. We declined sales by about 8.5% last year, but still exceeded $13.599 million. And that did exceed our budgeted projections by $48,000. So we did exceed what we expected to do. The contributing factors that went along with this decline in business was obviously increased competition in Burnsville. We definitely had some construction obstacles with our Heritage store. And then we had to, part of this is attributed to declining prices within the market. When the increased competition came in, they began selling items at or even below cost. And with that, while they make it up on their private label items, we still needed to get a little bit closer to them with the national brand items. So with the decreased prices, you obviously see decreased sales. Now, how do you know it's decreased sales or decreased prices that contribute? It's through this, that our sales were down by 8.5%. However, the number of units sold was only down 5.6%. Some people would say, well, again, were you overpriced prior to that? And no, we were not. We took annual market surveys of the market. We were extremely competitive at that time. But again, with this change of market, we had to decrease some of our prices in order to remain competitive and provide our customers the service and prices they deserve. So as you look at the sales by month, you can see that it initially started low. But there's a 4-month period you can specifically see right in here where we saw the greatest declines throughout the years. And those specifically coordinated with the construction. So while the increased competition had an effect on us, the construction had just as much effect. And as you can see, the last quarter, once those the construction waned, our sales started increasing over the previous year. 2015 accomplishments, you can see the remodel of the Heritage Liquor Store. And again, there's some before pictures, pretty outdated, pretty dirty. And here are the changes. That was done without really any the capital outlay for that was approximately $53,000, but the majority of that came back through a tenant allowance when we renegotiated the Heritage lease. So the total expenditure to do that remodel was approximately $16,000. Other accomplishments throughout the year, we did some preparation work for the new liquor store site out at near the Walmart at County Road 70. There were some land deviations and some fill needed for that site. And with that, we got a really reasonable rate and got that accomplished this year at a great savings to the city. We maintained a perpetual inventory loss of less than 0.04%. I haven't really highlighted that before, but we keep a perpetual inventory that when you compare it to the national retail level, it's astronomically low. The actual retail average, according to the National Retail Federation, is 1.38% loss. So we are very well below that. The director, myself, I've been serving on the PATH committee, which is proactive activities towards health. It's been a committee and a coalition that's working towards better mental awareness and chemical abuse within the community. And also, I am continuing to serve on the Minnesota Municipal Beverage Association Board. Also, throughout the year, we conducted 10 off-site tasting events. Those were craft beer tastings, some wine academy tastings, fish bites with the Minnesota Zoo, a lot of different affiliations and partnerships, which raises funds for a wide variety. A lot of it goes to the Arts Center, the Rotary, and then the Minnesota Zoo as well. In addition, this year I did receive the MLBA, which is the Private Liquor Retailer's Friend of the Retailer Award, which I truly appreciated because that came in respect for what I do for municipals, but also our partnerships with the private retailers. Looking outside of the walls, we like to think of ourselves as more than just a liquor store. We like to be partners out in the community. So we held a fundraiser, which included a paper shredding event and a hot dog and root beer offerings. And in the month of April of last year, we raised nearly $16,000 for a new canine service dog for the police department. And at the Taste of Lakeville, we raised $9,170 in nomination fees by the vendors for a judging competition of the wine, as well as we provided auction items for the Land of Amazement, and they conducted a raffle for that as well. Lakeville Yellow Ribbon, we raised over $9,000 for handicapped service ramps and other programs for returning military personnel and their families. The MMBA food drive, we were the top in the state for our category. We raised $12,275 for the local food shelves, but in addition, because of that award, we raised an additional $1,000, and that was provided by Miller Coors Brewing. Partnered with the Minnesota Zoo, as I previously stated, with their Fish Bites, which is a sustainable fish, seafood, and wine tasting, as well as the Wild About Wine, in which we coordinated all of the wines and vendors for that event. And our last fundraiser at the end of the year was for the Land of Amazement. And in the month of December, we raised nearly $8,500 to put towards the construction of that project. So moving ahead into this year, and I'm only going to go into February, because if I went into what we have coming up, we'd be here all evening. But just for the month of February, on February 3rd, we have Wine Academy. It's exploring the wines of Kendall Jackson, which many people think that's just Kendall Jackson, but that also includes Arrowwood, Silver Palm, La Crema. And with that, we are going to have a master wine sommelier, Larry O'Brien, joining us. He's only one of about 150 master wine sommeliers across the world. And he was actually the 2000 North American Sommelier of the Year. So it's quite an honor and prestigious to have him come and talk to our consumers. February 18th, we are holding our wine club tasting. This is open to all Premier and Wine Club members. If you aren't currently a member, come visit any one of our stores. We'll get you signed up and you can come sample 40 wines from about 10 different vendors. And also in February, we will start our premium wine, spirits, and craft beer sale. So that's coming up. In closing, I would just really like to express my appreciation and for our staff, their dedication, their customer service. Without them, they were tremendous this past year. Any challenge we offered, they do so much with this fundraising activities. And in fact, to point that out, last year these separate fundraising activities raised $21,000 in the stores for various events. This year, that topped $45,000. This is all, contributed back into the community. But secondly, and just as important, if not more, is I want to thank our customers for their continued support and their continued patronage. Without them, we would not be here. So with that, I stand for any questions.
Next highlighted item on the agenda is item number 7, Conditional Use Permit Amendment to extend the hours of operation for a private community center. And to give the background information on this agenda item is City Planner Daryl Morey.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Mr. Maverick did a very excellent job with his presentation, which means there's not as much for me to say. But I will give a little background to this request. It's for an amendment to the CUP approved, as you heard, in 2012 for the private community center in the former Lakeville Senior Center building on Holt Avenue. Property is zoned RM1, medium density residential. The request, again, as you heard, is to extend the hours of operation by 1 hour to midnight on Friday and Saturday nights, and also to midnight on 6 days related to major holidays, as Mr. Maverick outlined. The existing CUPs allows hours of operation of 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. The Planning Commission did consider this request and held a public hearing at their January 7th meeting and recommended approval on a 4-to-1 vote, and it was subject to 2 stipulations. One of the stipulations related to the hours that were being requested, and the other related to providing a screening plan, as Mr. Maverick alluded to as part of his presentation. Prior to City Council consideration of the amendment, the screening plan that the Planning Commission requested was for the parking lot area on the south and east sides of the building. I'm going to put this actually so north is up. This is the plan that Mr. Maverick came back with to screen, to put a 6-foot tall vinyl privacy fence along the south side of the parking lot, and then following along the east parking lot as it jogs, the property line jogs there. And this is an exhibit of the type of fence that would be put in. His proposal is to obviously weather dependent, but he would like to get the fence installed as soon as possible, and that would be in the spring, hopefully by the end of May or first part of June. So that stipulation was followed up on in terms of the Planning Commission's recommendation. At the public hearing, there was public comment from 2 neighboring property owners that expressed opposition to the request. We have also received in the approximately a little over a week since that meeting additional calls and emails regarding the proposal, again from neighbors of the subject property, and requesting that the hours not be extended. Now, I would like to point out that the police department and the planning department have not received any complaints regarding noise, what have you, related to this use in the 3 years that it has been open. In fact, as soon as Mr. Maverick approached city staff requesting the extended hours, the first thing that planning staff did was to talk to our ex officio on the planning department, our Officer Stevens, to get that report, and again came back that no complaints had been received to date. Mr. Maverick has outlined the steps that he has taken that are above and beyond the zoning ordinance requirements in terms of reducing impact to the surrounding properties and, as he said, trying to be a good neighbor. And staff finds that the use is compatible with the surrounding properties and that the extension of the hours of operation by 1 hour would not affect that. As such, staff is recommending approval of this conditional use permit amendment and adoption of the findings of fact as presented. I can stand for questions.
Item number 7 was approved by the Lakeville City Council. Next highlighted item on the agenda was item number 8, summarize council's conclusion regarding performance evaluation of City Administrator Justin Miller. And to provide the background information on this agenda item is City Council member Doug Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor. We're pleased to report to the community tonight that the City Council completed an annual performance review for City Administrator Justin Miller at a special closed meeting this evening. Many factors were reviewed, including his understanding of department operations, his leadership, his presence and community engagement, and his communications with the council, the public, and employees. We find Mr. Miller's performance to be consistently at or above the council's expectations, and we're very pleased to have him here as our city administrator.
Item number 8's conclusions were accepted by the Lakeville City Council. Well, those were the highlighted items presented to the council at their January 19th, 2016 meeting. If you have any questions or comments regarding these agenda items, please feel free to call City Hall. The number is 952-985-4400. Thanks for watching this edition of Lakeville City Council Wrap-Up.
Yes?
Do you have a carbon monoxide detector?
What? I don't think that's any of your business.
Let's find out.
What? Hey! Hey! Now, what is carbon monoxide and why do I need an alarm to tell me about it? Hey.
Carbon monoxide is produced whenever any fuel such as gas, oil, kerosene, wood, or charcoal is burned. You can't see or smell carbon monoxide, but at high levels, it can kill a person in minutes.
Oh, that's not good.
You're right.
Well, hey, where are you going?
Breakfast for me, eh?
This is mine.
Oh. Did you know that recently, CO detectors were required by law in all Minnesota residents to help save lives?
Well, that's a good start, but what else can I do to protect my family?
There are things you can do to make sure you don't become a statistic.
And I bet he's going to tell me what they are.
You got it, sister! Place a CO alarm within 10 feet of each room used for sleeping. CO detectors with the digital readout and peak level buttons are preferred. Batteries should be replaced once a year. Make sure they're fresh. Check the manufacturer's date on the back of the alarm. Replace alarms every 5 years.
So, if the alarm goes off and I'm feeling sick, I exit the house, go to a neighbor's house, and I call 911. Sorry.
For more information on how to reduce your risk from CO and other combustion gases, you can visit the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission website at www.cpsc.gov.
So, don't get yourself in a pickle over carbon monoxide.
Hey!
Oh.